this is the Japanese flag. This Japanese soldiers, you see, that got killed, had this flag with him. When he joined the army in Japan, you see, they give him a party, and they all signed this flag over here with good luck and so on, you see. But it wasn't good luck for him. So, and then samurai sword that I got while I was in China. I won't pull it out because I don't know it. And so is this sword over here. This is the Japanese. The Japanese always copied, do you see? They're not original, they always copied. And this is a cavalry sword that the Japanese had, you see. But it's a copy from our Civil War cavalry sword, you see. And well, I went to, before I got to China, I was in India, and this is the Gurkha knives that the Indians, not American Indians, but India used. And there's a Japanese, which is like a German Luger, you see, but they copied it, you see. And Korean War, you see. When we went overseas, you see, there's a footlocker we always had, you see. Put our clothes and stuff like that, you see. And put all our clothes over there, put it on our shoulders and all that.
Okay.
Prepared for such work and had special aptitude for language, you see. Two of the men who did not seem to be able to keep the radio overnight, we would have been traveling for days. See, the war was over. This, I started from the United States over here, you see, and it took, we went to Hawaii, and there we got supplies. This was in a troop ship, you see. And from there we went to Australia, and from Australia we went to India, and then from India, and I was flown over the hump, you see, over the Himalayas, the hump, to China. And in China I got there, and I went up to North China, all over China. Then coming back, I went back through India again. And we flew to Greenland, Iceland, then Ireland, to Scotland.
How old were you when you began?
I volunteered in September of 1941, and I was 26 years old, but I lied about my age because I wanted to get into the Air Corps to be a fighter pilot. But I didn't get to be a fighter pilot because they didn't accept me because they knew I was older than 25.
Did you get shot ever?
I have been shot at, but I never did, in World War II, I never did get hit.
Why did you want to join?
Well, it was either join or being drafted, and I got carried away with patriotism and so on, so I decided to join because, well, I wanted to be a pilot, a fighter pilot. So I thought if I would join, I would have a better chance of getting into the Air Corps and being a fighter pilot. But instead I ended up, I did get into the Air Corps. I was a radio gunner on a B-17 for a while. Then I was sent to this Japanese school, language school. From that I got my direct commission and I got into the military intelligence, air intelligence. And then I was sent to England with the RAF intelligence, where they had cracked the German code. Then I was sent back to the States, and I taught that course there about radio intelligence. Then I was sent to China, where I spent almost pretty close to 2 years working behind the Japanese lines for radio intercept or radio intelligence. And I worked with the Chinese Nationalist Army, worked with the Chinese guerrilla war fighters, and then at the end of the war, I was up in the mountains in North China when we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. And then I served as interpreter for the surrender of the Japanese army in Hankow, China, for the Chinese army. And the reason, you see, and the reason I was telling you about the Japanese language is that I was able to get in this school because I had had good instruction in high school in languages. Latin, I had 4 years of Latin, 2 years of French, and that helped me a lot. When I went to the Japanese language school, it helped me a lot. I was able to get through.
How long was it before you were able to drive an airplane?
I didn't drive, I didn't pilot an airplane, you see. I was a radio gunner, you see. But before that, before the war, I did have a pilot's license that I have obtained for a commercial pilot's license, obtained through what they call a CPT, Commercial Pilots Training course that I had taken at the University of George Washington. And I got my pilot's license then, but it was before the war.
Was one of your friends in the war?
Well, I had a lot of friends in the war. I made a lot of friends in the war, you see. Buddies, we keep buddies. We went out together and so on, and I lost a lot of friends in the war too. When they went overseas and sat down over Germany and France during the European War, and I had friends too that were in the flying over the Himalayas, a hump that they call it. And I've lost them. I had a cousin there too, so.
What weapon did you use in the war, and how did it work?
Well, we used various. I had a .45 that I used to carry with me all the time, especially when we were in China, you see. And we also had what, I don't know, sort of a, what looked like it was a machine gun, you know, but it was something looked like the assault weapons that you see being used now. And I liked it. I liked it. I was really having it with me, because we had to be, while I was in China, we had to be careful all the time, not only because of the Japanese, but also Chinese bandits used to try to raid us and take our weapons and so on. So I felt very comfortable with that machine gun.
Do you know how many bomb shelters you went in? Or
Well, a couple of times in, well, I was in England, in London, but during the Korean War, I was in, I can't recall now what the hell, bunkers. you see.
what? Wait, this last
Think about the wars and so on.
I think it's interesting to like find out stuff.
Yeah, but I hate war. A lot of people get killed. Not only the enemy, but civilians, our own people, young kids get killed, suffer throughout the war. So I hate war. Even though I've been in 2 wars, I hate war. And I don't like to glorify war. You see, I hate war. So, in being in 2 wars, I have good reason for hating it. I saw a lot of misery, I saw a lot of death, I saw a lot of hunger, to see kids starving, China especially, and during the Korean War, a lot of starving kids. We used to have a dump over there for, where we would throw out garbage, and kids would be eating out of it and so on. So it's really miserable. There's nothing glorious or about war. So
Did you have like makeup on, like camouflage?
yeah, we used to, especially when we were in China, we used to have to do that. And during the Korean War, we did that too. This is a different war now, but I saw more action during the Korean War than I did direct action fighting, you know, than I did during World War II in China or England. I was just merely working there and so on. And I came across fire, was doing air raids over London a couple of times. But there's no glory in war. And I was in the Vietnam War. I was against the Vietnam War, but I didn't feel it was right to protest against it as long as there were our boys and girls were over there being killed. So nothing glorious about war. Get my .45.